I think that's what a lot of people are doing right now. But I think that a lot of you are going to end up with little plant nubs if you're doing that. I think you are going to be a shadow of the person that you were created to be because you're not living vibrantly. You are just surviving. The alternative to that is you can fix your actual problem. You can see your symptoms actually get better. It is possible. I have seen it happen. I have experienced it personally myself. And yes, eat a larger variety of foods while you're traveling, taking that job promotion. You can chaperone your kids' field trip without worrying about your IBS symptoms.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nourished and Thriving Show. I'm your host, Katie Lovett. I'm a registered dietitian on a mission to help you increase your impact and legacy on the world while healing your gut and reducing your IBS symptoms. I'm so grateful to have you here. Each week, I'll inspire you to live vibrantly and provide valuable resources and information that empowers you to take bold action towards your health goals. Before we dive in, make sure you follow or subscribe to my show wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Ready? Let's go!
Hey guys, we're talking today about a topic that is maybe surprising for some of you, but maybe not so surprising for others if you've been around a while, but it's going to be a really good reminder for everyone. And then we're going to talk about kind of where to go. So let's dive in. I'm going to start out with what might feel like kind of a punchy thought. And that is that eliminating foods from your diet is not always the best way to heal your gut. Now, I understand why you might think that. You hear all over the place about taking food sensitivity tests. You hear about leaky gut, and maybe your symptoms flare after eating. So it makes sense that the food would be the problem. And that the key to finding relief then is simply finding the food that's causing the problems and cutting it out. Now, sometimes, yes, like if you are lactose intolerant and you don't have the lactase enzyme to break down lactose, yeah, just cutting that out can be the answer for you. But if you have a hot mess gut with like multiple symptoms and you've really struggled to find the trigger of those symptoms, keep listening. And maybe even if you are lactose intolerant, because you probably have some other gut stuff going on from all of that. So I actually have an example for you guys. You guys know I love teaching with examples and metaphors because it helps bring these concepts into a place that's more relatable. So I have an example that's going to just shed some light and help you understand kind of where I'm coming from with it. So think about a gardener. You guys know I love my gardening metaphors. I'm like an aspiring gardener. I don't have a garden. I have 3 kids and an old dog. So those are my plant babies right now, are my actual babies. But I would love to be a gardener one day. I have one raised bed. And it was a total flop last summer between crazy wind and then super, super hot summer. I think I had one tomato, you guys, and then it froze. And it killed my one tomato. I was so sad. We did get a couple of watermelons and some cucumbers, but it was kind of not the best first experience, but we keep learning. So think about a gardener or houseplant mom. I love that houseplants are more trendy again. Think about that. And you have a sick plant, okay? The plant has some yellow leaves, dying leaves. And you've probably heard, well, you need to cut those sick or dead leaves off so that your plant doesn't keep pumping extra nutrients to it to try and restore its health at the expense of the rest of your plant. But if you have a sick plant and you just keep cutting leaves off and chopping leaves every day without considering other things such as water quality, water frequency, sunlight, pests, and nutrients that are there in the soil, you're going to end up with a stub of a plant because you've cut all the leaves off because they keep getting sick because you haven't fixed the problem. Similar to this example, what I found is that whenever people simply eliminate foods that seem to trigger their symptoms or that they're told can cause gut issues, they may find relief for a while, but before long, they're having to cut out more and more foods. In fact, it's not uncommon for someone to come to me and say, I can eat 5 foods and that's it. I've cut everything else out. I'm scared to try anything else out. So if eliminating these food sensitivities won't necessarily help you heal your gut, what will? Like I don't want to give like bummer news here. So let's talk about what will. So when we look at people who do successfully resolve their gut symptoms and live vibrantly, and I just want to share some hope with you guys, because if you have been struggling with chronic gut symptoms for a very long time, you may be feeling very discouraged and very frustrated and very hopeless. You may have been told there's nothing else that you can do, that you're just going to have to manage it from here. And that is not necessarily the case. I have helped over 100 people reduce their symptoms by 80 to 90% through my signature gut rehab framework. And so all of these people that I've helped, they all have a couple of things in common. And the biggest one that we're going to talk about today is that they take a robust, holistic approach instead of just focusing on eliminating those foods that seem to trigger their symptoms. So let me share with you what I mean by that. So science has actually shown that eating a greater variety of foods leads to improved gut health. I actually did another episode on this about the 30 foods diet that showed if you eat more than 30 different kinds of plant foods in a week, you will likely have significantly less IBS symptoms. Now, if you're a person who is at that place where you can only eat a handful of foods right now, don't go try and eat 30 foods this week. Like, let's work on it slowly together, because that's going to be a shock to your system. But the end goal is to actually increase the number of plant foods that you're eating each week. That's going to create resiliency in your body and more health. But to do that, we need to know kind of where you're at. Yes, with foods. What foods can you currently tolerate really well? Which ones are you not sure about and you haven't tried in a while? We can include all of those as a baseline and then work to gradually increase your foods as we also work to cover, repair other areas. So this might include eliminating bad bugs that have overgrown or reducing inflammation in your gut and repairing the gut lining. But it isn't all just dependent on the food that you're eating. Just like we talked about, with the plant, where we were cutting off all of the leaves and just leaving with a little nub, there are other things contributing to your gut symptoms than just the food. Those gaps are addressed in what I call the 6 segments for gut health. This is a core part of my gut rehab program. So in my program, I should give you guys a sneak peek sometime. It'd be really good. But I actually have a really robust resource library that my clients walk through over the 6 months of working together, mixed in with personalized coaching from me. But this resource library is really the foundational knowledge that everyone needs. And it's centered around these 6 segments of gut health. So there's a section of videos and resources for each of these sections. So we could go very, very deep on each of these sections and actually make a lot of my content around these different sections. So you've probably been learning more about them without maybe even realizing that that's what it was. So I've done another episode where I focused on what those 6 sections were and I've gone more in depth in it. I'm not going to go as in depth today, but know that that is out there. And of course, if you're, interested in rehabbing your gut and working with me, it would be, a big part of our work together too. But those 6 segments of gut health are the things that I found that everyone really needs to focus on and bring some balance to. And like I said, this is something that everyone who has successfully reduced their gut symptoms and reached that vibrant soul stage of gut rehab, they've brought balance to all of these segments as well. So those segments are mindset, digestion, absorption, and elimination, nutrition and hydration, exercise and movement, environmental toxin exposure, and rest and relaxation. You have to address all of those segments. And whenever those all come into balance, your gut symptoms are reduced and you're able to actually have more freedom to eat more foods and live your life without focusing on your gut symptoms all the time. So, you're not having to go and worry, well, what am I going to be able to order from this restaurant if I go with my friends on a double date? I'm going to have to take my own, snacks with me to my kids' baseball game, because I can't eat anything there. You're going to create resilience there. And that is the balance that you need to really thrive in this world of unpredictable things and indulgences sometimes, and balance and moderation and all of that. So, you can continue to just eliminate foods and keep going down that path of eliminating things that seem to trigger your gut symptoms and try to figure it out and hope that by cutting those foods out of your diet, your symptoms will stop getting worse. And honestly, I think that's what a lot of people are doing right now. But I think that a lot of you are going to end up with little plant nubs if you're doing that. I think you are going to be a shadow of the person that you were created to be because you're not living vibrantly. You are just surviving. The alternative to that is you can fix your actual problem. You can see your symptoms actually get better. It is possible. I have seen it happen. I have experienced it personally myself. And yes, eat a larger variety of foods while you're traveling, taking that job promotion. You can chaperone your kids' field trip without worrying about your IBS symptoms flaring up, and just live your full and beautiful life like you were created to do. So if that sounds good, if that's what you want, if you want to be on that end of the spectrum instead of this cutting the dead leaves off end, if you're really ready to start cutting foods out, you want to live your life, schedule a free consult with me to talk about what a personalized plan would even look like. Just start to explore it. Take the first step. I'm about strategic, short-sighted action. So I'm not saying jump all the way to the end here. I'm saying, what would that next step forward look like? Maybe it would look like, going to my website and watching my program video. Maybe it would look like sending me a message on Instagram being like, hey, I want to just talk with you about what this might look like. Let's just talk about what's possible. What can we make happen for you? Send me a message. Go to the link in my bio. Just maybe that first step is reaching out and saying, hey, I've been eliminating foods and I'm kind of tired of it because I don't think it's getting me where I want to go anymore, and I thought it was really my only option because I haven't been able to get the support I needed, and it seemed to be working for a while, but it's not working anymore. Maybe just send me a message and say, hey, I heard your podcast. I need some help. Let's talk. I respond to all of my messages, like I say in my outro here, but just reach out, stop cutting all of your dead leaves off and actually come up with a robust game plan that's going to actually give you results. So that is my plea for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for listening to the entire episode. I hope you are feeling inspired and empowered to take bold action towards your health goals. If you enjoy what you heard, don't forget to follow my show so you never miss a new episode. And it would mean the world to me if you left me a review so others knew what to expect from my show. Last, get in touch. Let me know what bold action you're taking. Let me know how you're inspired. Follow me on Instagram at the_healthygut_dietitian. I've put a link in my show notes for you so you can simply click and follow. Come say hi. I respond to all my messages and I can't wait to get in touch.